Millions of us gather at our local churches each week for Sunday school, something that's a cornerstone of Christian education. It helps us learn what the Bible is about and, more importantly, who it's about. I'm grateful I started attending as a toddler, clutching those little paper cards that highlighted stories I've treasured for decades. But not everyone had such an early start. Many believers still struggle to understand how ancient scriptures relate to modern life. Quiet as it's kept, plenty of folks want to draw on the Bible's wisdom, but struggle to make sense of its chapters and verses. That's why we're launching a new series here on YouTube, Monday School, Tuesday School, and Wednesday School, a supplement to the Sunday School experience. Each of those days, I'll read selections from my book, The Bible in Tweets, my God-inspired retelling of the Old Testament, as if you and I were old friends talking about Scripture over a cup of coffee. It's the heart of the narrative without the confusion. The Bible reimagined for the scroll and swipe era. So join me Monday through Wednesday. You'll be glad you did. Well, today we're going to start where you naturally would think we should start, in the beginning. We're going to start with the creation narrative, which is what you see as soon as you open up the first pages of the Bible. Let me start off by saying I believe the Big Bang happened. I don't dispute it. But what I'm about to share with you is my view of what caused the Big Bang. A long time ago, there was God, eternally existent and completely self-sufficient. Our story begins when, at one point in his boundless existence, he focused his attention on creating a universe. That's what we're reading about in Genesis 1:1, when it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." In other words, bang, a Big Bang. So here's my best guess at what God would have said if he had been documenting this period in prehistory in a series of tweets. It starts off with, "I am what I am. I am the who, but I desire to see an endless collection of whats and wheres situated in a when. So let me get started with the first order of business, stepping out of nothing onto nothing and creating everything. Bang. Stars? Check. Quasars? Check. Black holes? Check. Asteroids, cosmic dust, planets and their moons? Check. Now let's hold it all in some semblance of order with some large-scale physics and engineering. Let there be a couple of forces that will govern all the whats. Gravity will be the force of attraction between all the things, and electromagnetism will later be important for electric power, magnetism, and light. The strong nuclear force will bind all the nuclei of atoms together so things fall apart, but only so much. And let there be a weak nuclear force which will be responsible for energy production via nuclear fusion, the kind that will make stars emit light and heat for vast amounts of this new thing I am calling time." Having assessed his work, God was pleased with how it turned out. "This is good," he said to himself. "Real good. I give it an A+. At a later point in time, which we have no way of pinpointing, God might have tweeted, "While I was framing the universe, I left Earth in rough draft form. It was basically an orb covered with water and no other features. Talk about plain Jane. If Earth and its neighboring planets had a prom, it wouldn't have had a date. But I spent a couple of days giving it an extreme makeover, and now it's beautiful. I can't keep my eyes off it." The glow up of Earth went like this. First, I gave it some lighting effects that made it bright part of the time and dark the rest of the time. Why? Because I said so. I said, let there be light. Boom, there was light, and I called it day. Next, I took some of that water that was pooled on the planet's surface and put it into a storage system designed to receive and redistribute water, letting it fall as droplets from the storage system's location far above the surface water level. I did a good job with that project, so I patted myself on the back and called the expanse between the water on the surface and the water stored high above sky. And that was the end of day 2. Day 3 was interesting because Earth stopped being formless. I gathered the waters into select spots, creating dry ground on the surface. That excavation revealed mountains, hills, valleys, plateaus, flat plains, caves, and rocky cliffs. To my eye, it was an extraordinary canvas on which I could create a dazzling painting. I spoke to the ground and said, show me plants bearing seeds that will produce new generations of those same plants. At my word, there appeared plants and trees yielding fruit, plus flowers and grasses. Let's be honest, my spoken word game is unparalleled and my color palette is incomparable. I was satisfied with how the makeover project was going, so after spitting those bars, let there be this and let there be that, I called it a day. I took a step back and looked with admiration at what I had done. It was good, real good. I gave it an A. I switched gears on day 4. I positioned Earth and set it spinning on its axis so the cycle of day and night would continue in perpetuity. I put the sun in the sky for daytime brightness and hung the moon in the sky to pour a smidgen of brightness onto the earth at night. I set their distances from each other with painstaking exactitude so the sun would warm Earth but not burn it to a crisp, and the moon would cause the waters on Earth to shift their position in relation to the places where they meet dry land. I followed that up by painting the sky with stars in arrangements that would let the passage of time be marked and accounted for in a consistent way. That project was a rousing success. It deserved an A+, if I do say so myself. By day 5, I was in the mood for fish. I spoke to the water and told it to become teeming with sea creatures. I also had a hankering for wings, so I told the sky to bring forth every species of winged creature, whether they could actually soar through the air or not. Nothing goes to waste. A couple of bird species known to be flightless will have wings prized for being good eating. Eagles, hawks, and falcons will rule the skies. Chickens and turkeys will dominate dinner plates. While I was at it, I figured I'd populate the land with creatures too. I told the land to bring forth animals of all shapes and sizes. The great apes, jungle cats with a taste for flesh, and great hordes of prey species that dine only on fruit, leaves, and grasses. The ground brought forth big boy species such as elephants, hippos, and rhinos. And what would the place be without sheep, goats, oxen, and cattle, plus the wolves, coyotes, and foxes that desire to sink their teeth into those grass eaters? I let loose with my imagination that day, making room for all the wild, weird, and wonderful creatures that have their unique places in Earth's ecosystem. Let's just say I'm into kaleidoscopic effects. That was fantastic. Yup, another A+. And that's all for today, folks. Tune in tomorrow when we'll pick up with the creation narrative and tell you more about how God got things started. Listen, y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Love y'all. Bye.